Well, hello everyone. I hope you all are doing great and having a fantastic January 2nd, 2025. Happy New Year, and I hope that your year is going just as better, if not better than January 2nd, 2024. Whole year around the sun, whole year, new problems. But new year, new solutions as well. So hello, my name is Jack Cunningham. This is the start of season 2 of Just an Ohioan. If you are just meeting me now, my name is Jack. I live in Ohio. I'm Gen Z. I'm progressive. I'm proud. I'm passionate. And I'm doing what I can to stand up. Stand up for what's right. It's very important for me that young people not just have our voices heard, but have some solidarity with each other and say, hey, we don't have to be alone in this fight for not just our future, but for how we see the world, how we want our world to operate, and who we are going to support to see that vision through. One of the big things that we are seeing right now to hopefully advance young people's rights and abilities and freedoms is we have a chance to see a great passionate advocate become the DNC Vice Chair when the election happens the 1st of February. Now, I'm sure most, if not all of you, have heard of the name David Hogg before. If not, that's okay. David Hogg is someone who is a great activist and advocate for pew safety, for climate change, for progressive politics, for making sure that we have our young voices heard, our young people's voices heard. When we see as many problems with the Democratic Party apparatus as we do now and the consistent infighting, we need new people involved. Not just new people, we need young people involved within the Democratic Party apparatus making the decisions so that way young people's voices can be heard. We can see better candidates. We can see better opportunities for the DNC to connect with voters. Because what's happening right now clearly isn't working. I mean, up until we got the election results, I thought that Kamala was going to pull off a success. It was the hope and vision of all the young people who I was around to see her win. And when we were at the polls and seeing people going, and we were expecting a great celebration. But then when the results came forward and seeing young people go to Donald Trump more so than Kamala, that is a huge problem. It's a huge problem because we need our voices in our generation to support and defend the rights of all human beings. And I think the biggest concern and the biggest issue with the Democratic Party was we did not meet people, especially young people, where they were at. We did not do enough to really listen to the concerns of young people, to really get young people involved and feel like they have a decision, to feel like they have opportunities to make their voices heard, to have that seat at the table and to make everything work to our advantage, because our votes are very important. Our energy is important. Our talent is very important, and that is something that other people need to recognize. And so I have something pulled up here from David Hogg. He's been going around speaking to media about what he would do and why this role is so important, and I have that pulled up. This is from David Hogg announces run for DNC Vice Chair from Good Morning America.
Democratic National Committee. Please welcome David Hogg to the show. Thanks,
David. Good to see you.
To those who aren't familiar, exactly what does this job even entail?
You know, it's really an important role to make sure that we bring young people into the party, to make sure that we have a seat at the table. And essentially what this job is I'm participating in many of the meetings with the DNC, making sure that my constituency, mainly young people that shifted 20 points to the right, unfortunately, are properly represented in the party and not just told that we don't need to worry about young voters because we can just take them for granted over and over again. It's a role that's not nearly as intensive as chair. I'm still going to continue doing my work with my organization, Leaders We Deserve, but this is a role to help bring more young people into the party, and that's really what I want to focus on.
So, David, what makes...
So I am so thankful that we have someone like David Hogg here to help rally people around the cause of progressive politics, fighting for everyday workers, fighting for young people, because I don't know about you all, but it hurts me to see my fellow human beings in my generation suffer when there are high costs of living, not enough investment into new housing, new homes, not enough being done to address the highly expensive cost of living, not just with food, but with insurance, but with healthcare. The whole system is not very favorable to young people at this time. And there are a lot of politics and policies that have helped young people, but the Democratic Party did not do the best job at effectively communicating that. The other major concern I have with this as well is that young people are not necessarily desperate, but we are running out of time to find solutions, and the people who we need to provide those solutions are not providing that sense of urgency that we see. I see this locally, I see this statewide in Ohio, I see this nationally. I see a lot of problems with the DNC apparatus and assuming a lot about the constituency. David Hogg mentioned this in one of his articles that he described how the consultant class, the consultants, the people who are influencing the Democratic Party as a whole have not done enough to connect with people who are actively on the ground. And that is something I agree with wholeheartedly. When people want to connect with the Democratic Party, when people want to make their voices heard, at least what I've seen, there's a top-down, rigid structure that is not favorable to young people, that's not favorable to the activists, that's not favorable to those who are not necessarily within the inner circle. And I have a huge problem with that. It leaves so many people feeling left out. It hurts our ability to keep and sustain activists. It hurts our ability to further and deepen our meaningful connections with the community, especially where people are at. And that is something that we need to address and something that we need to discuss. The Democratic Party as a whole, filled with good people, people who want to better the quality and living conditions of their constituents. And we see that in a lot of states: California, Oregon, Washington, Wisconsin, Michigan. I love Gretchen Whitmer. Gretchen Whitmer has done so much for her constituents, and I am so thankful that she's the governor of Michigan. I wish we had her in Ohio. We need so much better leadership in managing the DNC and making sure that young people can be involved. And that includes funding, that includes opportunities for networking, that includes opportunities for new media, that includes, at least from my perspective, a wide swath of opportunities for young people to get connected and ingratiated within the party structure. And I'm not just talking about young people. I also want to highlight the good work that older activists and people who have been involved in this fight, they need to have a direct seat at the table making the decisions about who the party infrastructure is, who's going to become the next statewide party chairs, who are going to then have further influence to say, these are the candidates that we actively know have done good for the community and why we're supporting them, rather than just vague promises about, oh yeah, sure, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And then only to find out that the same politicians who made those promises listened to their corporate lobbyists and backers that actively voted for or against legislation with the effect of harming their constituents. So I am very, very thankful that David is managing this, I suppose, campaign, so to speak. It's not a public campaign. It's not something that people can actively vote on, unfortunately. But people within the Democratic Party and the DNC apparatus, they can. And so what I am looking forward to in this is seeing young people have the seat at the table and having this influence. Because that's going to help us with so many races down the ballot, especially here in Ohio. We have a lot of great opportunities to pick up some seats in our, not just our major cities. We thankfully, for example, in Hamilton County, and I have to give a lot of good credit to the local Democratic Party, we have managed to finally take back our prosecutor seat after 100 years. We have been able to maintain our leaders on the Hamilton County Commission. We have a 9-seat overwhelming majority. Well, it's a complete majority in Cincinnati City Council of Democratic leadership. We have a Democratic mayor. We have a Democratic auditor. I think the only last remaining non-Democratic held position is the county engineer. Now, why a county engineer needs to have a DRR behind it is beside me, but it's so important that we get younger people further involved. Younger people have been involved. Younger people have been involved in 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022. And I feel where we left off, we did not do enough to maintain the structure of support for the young people. It was, at least from my perspective, what I've seen on the ground, it was like, pat on the back, good job, yeah, you helped this, great. And then when it came to like some of the decision making and further influence within the party, young people have been left out. And that is a huge problem for me. I'm 26. I'm right on the cusp of being a millennial, but I'm Gen Z. I have seen and been witness to the success and failures of millennials, and the same can be said for Gen Z. We have not been dealt the best hand compared to prior generations. We have been seeing a lot of harm done to us because of deregulation, because of the great amount of corporate investment into buying out so many things and making them for profit at all of our expense. Older generations are getting more exhausted trying to defend democracy. Young people are trying to do their best with what we have. We have to have a new and better Democratic Party infrastructure that supports young people and gets young people elected. I don't know about you all, but I'm tired of seeing these octogenarians control our lives. I'm tired of seeing people who are 40 years older than me continuously maintain their grip on power and not doing nearly enough that they can to better our lives. It's so insane to me that our country is held up by a few members of Congress and we cannot get good policies enacted, and there has been such a stranglehold on that. It frustrates me, it bothers me, and I know that it bothers a lot of young people too. But where I see the difference in myself with most other young people is that I am very politically involved. I've been heavily involved in campaigns. I know a lot of the people locally and statewide in Ohio who are involved in politics, and I get the vibe from all of them that they understand that some things do need to change, but I don't see a lot of coalescing behind that effort. I see a lot of good people out there who do want to better the party infrastructure, who do want to build and sustain a good organizational infrastructure. And yet when that is compiled by people who just want to maintain the status quo, or those, worse yet, who want to inflict not necessarily harm, but those who want to inhibit the growth and movement of people who want to bring the much needed change, that is a huge problem. We cannot be the best Democratic Party that we can be when we leave out key sections of our population. So much power has gone in the hands of the boomers, Gen X, and that has been at the expense of us millennials, Gen Z, and eventually Gen Alpha. So many of these issues are coming from systemic problems within our politics, and if we can't change our politics, we have to change our party infrastructure, because the party infrastructure is the power behind the power of politics. The party infrastructure is how we get some people involved in the decision-making processes, and that needs to happen. David Hogg has a vision for that. David Hogg has led a movement of people to be very successful, and in so doing helped to pass one of the most consequential pieces of pew-pew legislation that we've had in 30 years. And something that was it 30 years, 20 years? Well, regardless if it was 20 or 30 years, it was a very, very important milestone. And in so doing, we were able to help get that done. And as such, it is protecting a lot of people's lives from unnecessary pew pew violence. David Hogg has worked very hard to establish March for Our Lives. And now that he is leading a new organization dedicated solely to the promotion and support to get young people involved in politics within party infrastructures, within candidates or people to become candidates to run for office, that is very much well needed. We need someone like David in the vice chair position, and I'm so thankful that you're running, David. David, I'm not sure if you're ever going to listen to this, but I'm so grateful for you, and I'm so amazed with your advocacy, and I will do whatever I can to help support you. I know from being just an Ohioan and being where I am in the corner of the world, I'm not sure if I can do much, but I want you to know that you have a huge supporter here, and I know that you have a lot of support elsewhere. I am so grateful for the team that you have brought to establish, for the people that you are working to help support and grow. And that is something I am very excited to see as we go forward. If and when David Hogg was able to get in this vice chair role, that would be huge for young people. It's huge because that means that we have someone within our generation making the decisions, or helping to make decisions, helping to bring and onboard new people, new talent, train and teach them, make sure that they are empowered themselves, to then finally, with our seat at the table ensured, so that way we can begin the further infrastructure of rebuilding state parties, rebuilding Young Dems, working to make sure that we have a solid infrastructure supporting good quality candidates, good quality movements, and the people who are going to get shit done. We can't afford to have so many resources be held back for the sake of clout or personal glory. We are running out of time. January 20th is coming up very quickly, and the consequences of this past election are going to bear fruit within the first few hours during the inauguration. And as such, we need to be ready for that. We will not be nearly as successful as we could be if we don't have better leadership within the DNC. That's something I'm passionate about. That is something I am very grateful David Hogg is standing up for. And David, I support you very much. I support what you're about. I support your character. I don't know you personally. I don't know much about your background aside from the many years you have contributed to the movement for March for Our Lives. And following you for those few years, from seeing and bearing witness to the activism you bring to bringing many people together to rally behind these issues, that is something that has been profoundly inspiring for me. And I know it's inspiring for young people. I know it's inspiring for all other age groups, because we need to see this. This is how we get shit done. And we need leaders who can get shit done. And if people who have been holding positions of power for 30, 40 years and have done nothing, they need to get the hell out of the way, because we cannot and should not put up with that anymore. One of the last things I have to say about this is that if it's not David Hogg now, it's going to be David Hogg or someone like him in the future. It's only a matter of time. And it solely is up to the people who are empowered to realize that their time has passed. But my fear is that they are not going to do much until it's too late. I figure it's already too late for some things. There's a lot that still needs to be done. But what I am grateful for is that we're having this conversation. We're seeing a Gen Z member run for this important position. And David, I hope to see you as the DNC Vice Chair come February 1st. Now, if there's anyone out there who agrees with me, anyone who's in support of David Hogg for this role, please use your platform, use your voice, and go and make your voice heard. Speak on social media, talk to your friends, talk to whomever. Just say, hey, David Hogg needs to be the next DNC Vice Chair. It is so great to be here, everyone. This is the second episode, or the first episode of the second season. And I had to record this because the microphone was not plugged in appropriately. And so now, thankfully, after doing some tests, I am very glad to say that it worked. I'm so thankful for each and every one of you who has stayed with me this long and has made it to the end of the podcast. Thank you very much. My name is Jack Cunningham. This podcast is live everywhere there is podcasts, including YouTube. And I am so grateful for you all. And we are all in this together in solidarity. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, great rest of your year. It's only the 2nd. We have 363 more days. I hope you all make it good ones, and I hope you all make it count. I'm looking forward to seeing what the new year holds, what we can all get up to, and I am very hopeful we could see David Hogg be the next DNC Vice Chair. So thank you all very much. Have a great rest of your day, your week. Talk to y'all soon.